What's going on, guys? Mike, aka Crypto Jewels. We are going to do an Aptos APT update. I'm going to start off over this weekend. I'm going to try to go through as many videos as I possibly can, and I'm going to start off on the macro on a lot of these, just to kind of get a little broader of a context instead of constantly being in the weeds. Because sometimes when you're in the weeds, you can end up losing sight of what's going on a higher time frame. So this is my Discord, and I have inside my premium Discord, I have a section where I call it macro two-wave setups, but ultimately it's where I chart all of my macro assets that we're looking at, crypto coins, all that stuff. So ever since February 9th, we have been tracking APT as a five-wave structure up and looking for a retrace anywhere down from 460 to 795 or so. And that would be the area that we would have wanted to hold for a larger degree two-wave. And since then, it has played out pretty well. So we are on the 3-day here. As I just showed, this was, let's see, price was at 1450 back then. So that was, basically right around this zone. We were calling for this bottom. We have gotten there as of right now. We got down to 525, which happens to, coincide right with the 61.8% retracement level. So as far as, sorry, let me hide that real quick. So as far as, on a higher time frame and, Elliott waves concerned, this thing certainly could be a completed two-wave. And I mean, it's looking pretty good on the 3-day here. We've got a nice little green candle on the 3-day, and it's reacting well to our 61.8% retracement level. But on the micro count, this thing is still calling for a potential drop for one more final wave and the micro count for a fifth down. But we have to understand that doesn't have to happen. In Elliott wave theory, you can always, the benefit about Elliott wave is that you can see the potential downside or the potential opposite side of whatever it is that you're counting. So you can have two scenarios based on validation and invalidation levels. So, even though the micro count, on the lower time frame on the minute chart is potentially calling for one more wave down, it's important to understand that we don't have to get it on the higher time frame, which trumps the lower time frame. This could certainly be a very, very valid A, B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We broke below the 3 there. So, we don't have to now have a 5-wave structure down in this 5th wave. Let's make this a little easier to read. We'll change that to a minute. We'll change the color. Okay. So again, we don't have to have that final 5th wave down on the micro chart in order for this thing to be bottomed. But we do have to understand and pay attention to it and realize that it is possible that, we do have one more wave until we invalidate that potential scenario. So ultimately on the macro, guys, what I am anticipating, as long as this structure holds, I am anticipating our 3-wave, which this could also be an A wave as well. So this could be, an A, and then this could be a B, and then we would have a C up somewhere around this zone here. So ultimately, that would be my lower target. My minimum target would be $30 to $50 is where that would take us. And that structure would, basically look like, you would have an A, a B, and then a C, and then some sort of rejection from there. So that would be my minimum target. If we do play out impulsively, which I assume we will, based on my, theory and based on my current hypothesis with Bitcoin and the crypto market in general. I believe that we are transitioning into a bullish market, and this is on APT. This is our first impulsive structure up off of our low. So I ultimately think that this is going to play out as a 1, 2, and then a 3 up to around $100 or so. Then we'll have a 4-wave retrace, and then a final 5th up to about $200. I think we will get that. And then from there, it really depends on what will happen, but we should, if this is going to be a larger degree 1 wave, we should get a 3-wave structure, which could take us all the way back down to $20 or so, which would be a bear market, obviously, within itself. And then you would want to see an impulsive wave up again to start your 3-wave, which would break above the top of that 5th. Now, obviously, that's, quite a ways out, and that's looking at it from a macro standpoint. But ultimately, that's, I see this structure playing out this coming cycle and this next coming, bull market that I believe we are transitioning into. So that takes us, like I said, to $200. All right, so let's hop into the micro, which is what we were just talking about at the very beginning of this video that is still potentially calling for one more drop. So on the lower time frame, it looks to me like we have completed our B wave structure there, and then we've got this, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is where I said this 5 could be in. This was an extremely exaggerated 3-wave, and we could, have just an undefined 3, 4, and 5-wave structure on this next drop. But if I try to count it out on the micro, it looks to me like it's a 1, 2, an extended 3, which took us, way down, wicked below the 61.8%. And now we are possibly working on our 4-wave, and then we would have a final 5th down. Now that final 5th down does not have to break below this low. It could end up being a truncated 5th, but we need to look at what's going on and see where our validation and invalidation levels are for this 4th wave. So as of right now, this 4th wave structure is starting to get really deep. So typically 4 waves, retrace 38.2 to 50%. And, a lot of Ellioticians say if it goes above the 50%, then it's, then something else is going on, which, to me, that's obviously not a hard rule. That's a guideline. Technical invalidation is if this 4-wave overlaps into our 1-wave, which is at $7.60. So I like to, obviously have technical invalidation before I say, okay, we definitely have a bottom in. But with that being said, that's from an analysis standpoint. From a trading standpoint, depending on your risk tolerance and your risk strategy, you don't have to have technical invalidation in order to enter a trade. If you see some sort of a 1-2 structure forming, and then you see the potential of an impulse, then obviously you can pull the trigger and make a trade. But you got to understand that this thing could go against you. So it's all about your risk tolerance and your risk management. So once we start breaking above the 50%, then that to me raises red flags that, hey, this could be a bottom. And maybe if I'm looking for longs, I'll start to look for a long somewhere, or look for or I was averaging in on a swing trade on a spot buy for this zone down here, because again, it doesn't have to break back below. But either way, in order for this 4-wave to become technically invalid and for this to be our bottom down here, as we talked about on the macro, we really have to see, from an analysis standpoint, we have to see this structure unfold in a 5-wave structure off of the bottom, which would be this 1, 2. You would have a 3, a 4, and a 5, which could take us up to $10. and then you would need a 3-wave structure down to retrace, and then a break back above the top of that 5. So ultimately, that's what we have to see from a technical validation standpoint in order for this thing to be considered bottomed. So really, until then, you just have to kind of piece together the clues, that you have developed in your toolbox with your different technical analysis, styles and things that you've learned. But ultimately, that's how I trade and how I analyze markets, and that's what I would need to see. But the good news is this thing is looking, potentially possible to be bottomed, because we are starting to get this deep 4, and we have, broken above this 50% retracement level. So, it is definitely possible that we did bottom. Especially if you zoom out and look at it on the macro, it is more than feasible that this thing has bottomed. So ultimately, until technical invalidation, you have to assume that you're going to get that 5th. But again, as a trader, that doesn't mean you can't, start looking for longs with obviously risk, proper risk management, and your risk, strategy and risk tolerance is totally up to you. So that's ultimately what I'm looking for, guys. But hey, I do want to mention I'm creating an online course. Yes, this is a shill. I'm creating an online course. I anticipate that thing to be open in about 30 days, 30 to 45 days. And I will be privately launching it to anybody who signs up. I've got a link below this video. If you do want to, get in and sign up and get my course, which is basically a very robust and comprehensive analysis and trading course that teaches my trading style, how I analyze markets, and I will be offering a very significant discount to the people who are in the private launch. So anyways, we will keep these updated, and we'll see you later.